Thank you very much to all the speakers for this great overview on the work that is happening on building EU databases for food formulation, but also some potential ways of using those, for example, to evaluate the code of conduct and the pledges and commitments made by companies, or also to have the data available in an accessible way through the Fable database. So I think the work that Best-ReMaP is doing in developing and implementing such a standardized monitoring system, it's really important. So it's building already on previous projects like the previous joint action, the EUREMO project. There are also some linkages with STOP as we explored yesterday. And so these guidelines on reformulation monitoring will be critical, I think. I think everyone agrees the need for such a database is clear. There are very few European countries to date which actually have a comprehensive system for monitoring the food supply. And so we really need this to support governments in developing strong and comprehensive reformulation strategies, but also nutrition labeling and even food marketing strategies. And so a European database will not only allow monitoring the supply over time in countries, but will also allow for some benchmarking across countries, but also food companies, for example. And then there are already some policies that are adopted in a range of European countries, like, for example, the Nutri-Score front of pack label, for which such a database will also be critical. For example, currently, the European Scientific Committee is working on an update of the Nutri-Score algorithm, and there is a clear urgent need to have access to such a European branded database in order to be able to evaluate new proposed scenarios for changes of this algorithm across a wide range of European countries. So not just the few countries that actually have these data available. So the need is clear, but there are also some challenges. We know that data collection, especially manual data collection, is very resource intensive. So Best-ReMaP will also is also planning some validation studies to explore how useful other methodologies, like, for example, crowdsourcing, web scraping, and maybe some others might be for the purposes of branded food monitoring. And some countries, like the Netherlands, are actually already using a combination of different methodologies for their national food monitoring program. But there are also some other challenges that are perhaps not discussed in this session and that are maybe beyond the scope of Best-ReMaP, but something like food classification, which is burdensome. I think it would be worth looking into. Are there any methodologies that can be used to make this more automated in the future? There are many different food classification and even description systems like the FoodX2, which are quite burdensome to apply. And so any work on that would be very useful, especially if web scraping would be used. Also linkage of food composition or branded food composition data with food consumption survey data and also sales data is something that needs to be further explored. The WHO Europe did publish a very nice report this year, an overview of third-party food sales data and how they can be used to better monitor effectiveness of nutrition-related policies. And then another challenge, which was also raised in the chat, is how can we also add environmental impact to these, environmental impact of food products to these branded food databases, which is an additional challenge. But I think overall, based on earlier projects and what Best-ReMaP is planning, we are actually very well underway towards a sustainable branded food monitoring database across Europe. So it will need further collaboration between different EU projects and initiatives. And hopefully in this way, we can further stimulate the implementation of reformulation labeling and marketing policies in Europe, and especially support member states to really either start, improve, or continue their branded food monitoring efforts. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you so much, Stefanie, and thanks to the presenting, to Karin and to all the panelists here in this session. I have to say that it was really very, very interesting, and very relevant questions were raised also in the chat, not just by the panelists, and that goes for Eva, for Wolfgang, and for Isabel. I think it's good that we are getting the overview. But I think that one of the most important things is the sustainability of this action, and that's something what we are obliged to provide at the end of the joint action. And I think that that will be that is discussed. I have to say that I'm happy to see that the GRC and IFSA and DG Santé and also HADEA have been sitting together with the Work Package 5 and 1, and we will include also Work Package 4 colleagues from Best-ReMaP, discussing how IFSA is going to establish now the food composition database, and also GRC database is planned in a way that it will be definitely sustainable, as Eva has so nicely responded in the chat. So I think a lot of signals are here that we try to provide the sustainability. We have 2 years more to go. That's why we also have the policy decision-making forum with relevant DGs, so that we will be together able to explore how to make it as sustainable as possible. And we hope that by doing that, we will be able then also to monitor the pledges and all the other actions from at all different levels and all different kind of actions. I'm also thankful that Wolfgang was with us and commenting on monitoring and surveillance and the importance there. And we hope that we are going in the right direction, and that we have the colleagues also in the scientific board to guide us best way. And thanks, Stefanie, for linking it to STOP, and for all your valuable comments at the end.